Hey, this is Kevin Kelly, and you are listening to the Stardom Cast.
This is Jessie from Club Venus from Stardom, and you're watching Stardom Cast.
Hello guys and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wondering Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin, and I am joined as ever by Mr. Phillymania himself, Mr. Matt Turner. Matt Turner, has the excitement begun to sink in yet? I'm that excited I can't talk.
It's snuck in, it's Jimmy snuck it in, it's done all of that, my man. Yeah, no, it's exciting times. I'm always excited for WrestleMania week regardless, but this one, with everything we have going on with you coming over, literally as this drops, I will be on my way to the Philadelphia airport to pick you up. So yeah, exciting times. Again, the two shows, I know I don't know if you saw, my friend, they announced the cards for night 1 and night 2. So both shows look really, really good. And then obviously we have the Spark show, the Stardom show, the GCW show, all the Stardom meet and greets. So yeah, we got a lot of really cool stuff going on. I'm really, really excited for it. I just hope the weather holds up because as of last night, looks like we're going to have a few rainy days. So hopefully we'll be good to go. We'll be good to go.
Well, I like being indoors, so it's fine. Aside from WrestleMania, I think every card's inside, so we're all good. As long as I've got a coat to get to the venue, I'm all good, man. I'm all good. But yes, it's going to be an exciting couple of days. When this drops on the free feed, I will be, hopefully, at least in the airport. But again, card subject to change, so to speak, because me and Kirsty are notoriously late to most things. But yes, if you are listening to this and you're on your way to Philadelphia, whether you're flying, whether you're driving, whether you are boating, obviously safe travels, and we hope to meet as many of you as is humanly possible whilst in Philadelphia. I know a couple of people have said they're going to the Ring of Honor show, so I believe we're going to the Ring of Honor show, Matt, so that'll be great to meet up with you all. But we decided that just before all the madness that is Philadelphia and before the madness that is our live podcast, which I still can't believe is the day after tomorrow as we record. That's quite scary. But we both thought that it would be good just to drop an episode to tide you all over, just to go over the two pay-per-views from this weekend, from the 30th and the 31st, one including the largest pay-per-view, or largest crowd, should I say, ever recorded at Sendai Pit, and obviously to go through I keep calling it Phillymania. It's not called that. It's called the American Dream 2024 in the Keystone State. So we'll go through that card. We'll also go through the announced matches for the Spark Joshi card, which I don't know if you know this, ladies and gentlemen, but the Stardom Cast is an official sponsor of the Spark show. So yeah, it'll be great to see as many of you there as is possible as well. But before we go into all this and all of the news that decided to drop yesterday, one of which I was convinced was an April Fool. Matt, what is coming up on the Patreon this week?
On the Patreon, we have released not one but two roundtable discussions. We released our roundtable discussion with my good friend and tag partner Andy Header, as it is WrestleMania season, as if you couldn't tell from the first 2 minutes of this podcast. We released our individual top 10 favorite WrestleMania matches. And then I did another roundtable discussion where I was joined by Trent Brewer as we talk about one Jungle Kiona, one of my favorite subjects to talk about when we talk about all of her chances, her near misses, if you will, Rob Goodwin, at the Wonder of Stardom Championship and the World of Stardom Championship. Then our alternate commentaries that we have released, we released from Stardom Way to the Major League from back in 2020, as Takumi Iroha taking on one Mayu Iwatani. That was a really, really good one, a fun one to call back with you. And then I just realized myself and Rob were texting back and forth yesterday as Rob is still on Easter break. And his Easter break goes right into WrestleMania break. Yesterday was the last day of my Easter break. So I was we and him were trying to figure out what podcast we can do to kind of hold everybody over, because we don't know once Rob comes back when we're going to be able to record some of the Patreon stuff as well as the weekly episode. So I realized that there was 5 Mondays in the month of April. So I figured we'd do a bonus alternate commentary that'll be released Monday and Tuesday of next week. And it was a solo one that I did myself. Rob is obviously super busy packing because he has a much longer trip to Philadelphia than I have. So the alternate commentary I did was a match that, and I even texted you, Rob. I said, hey, we'll do this as a bonus. This way it gives content to come out at the beginning of next week while we're away in Philadelphia, so nobody's missing anything. And again, we just happen to have 5 Mondays, in the month of April. And when I was reading your book, and you might be saying, what book is that, Matt Turner? Chasing the Dream, 50 of Stardom's Greatest Matches, now available on Kindle, by the way, from what I'm told. Or you can get it on Amazon.com. There was a match that I was going through, and a match that I've never seen before, Rob, and that was from the 2019 5-Star Grand Prix with Momo Watanabe and Azumi. So I did a little solo alternate commentary of that. So that'll be on your Patreon feeds next week.
It will indeed. Hopefully, obviously, as we record, like I say, I'll be flying out tomorrow. So there's a couple of things that I need to get prepped and scheduled before I leave, because obviously I won't be able to do it in Philly. We've also got, dropping on Tuesday the 9th of April, we have got our retrospective, our Kairi Hojo retrospective in honor of Insane April, which tends to be a thing at the Stardom Cast. Isn't this year, but it has been in prior years. And we are looking back at a 365-day run as the White Belt Champion. This is, of course, one that we are releasing from the Patreon to the free feed, and then we have got another one, a fresh one, so to speak. That will be coming out towards the end of April. Just speaking about Chasing the Dream, thank you so much for all the positive comments that I've had about the book. Thank you to everyone that's purchased it, and thank you to everyone that's given it a chance. It's been very, very nice just to open up Twitter and see pictures of my book with such fantastic names as Matt Charlton and Karen Pearson. So thank you to everyone who has purchased a copy. I really, really, really do appreciate it. And I know because I'm British, I inherently sound sarcastic. I promise you, I'm not being sarcastic. I am genuinely really appreciative of any positive feedback regarding the book, or any feedback, full stop. But Matt, let's kick into some news. And it seems that on top of everyone else that loves Giulia, Nasawa loves Giulia, as we found out yesterday when Giulia randomly showed up in Pro Wrestling Noah. Now, I said before that I thought something in the news was an April Fool. I thought it was this. And then I saw the video of her coming out on Monday Magic to quite a big pop as well. And it turns out that Giulia is now obviously a free agent. She is still doing some Stardom dates, but she is officially a free agent. As her bio says on Twitter, don't know if you've seen that, Matt, she has now officially changed it to free as a bird. But her first in-ring appearance at Pro Wrestling Noah will be at the Wrestle Magic 2024 show on the 4th of May at Ryogoku Kokugikan. Exciting times, Matt, but if you are to believe Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer, and I know that many people don't, it is believed that this is going to be shot more to up the excitement levels for the brand new Rossi Vice Wrestling. What do you think?
The RVW, I mean, that would make sense if Big Dave, if Uncle Dave is correct, because that'd be a big platform. Obviously Pro Wrestling Noah has been an established wrestling company for they started, I believe, 2000, so 24 years. And they've had some up and down few years, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, they're one of the bigger wrestling companies in Japan, and they do stream on, I think, what's it called, Wrestleverse or Wrestle Universe. Mm-hmm. So they have the platform there, and then you're going to be in a big show like Rika Gokan, as Mayu would say. But it's a good platform. Rossi, we've known for several months that this new company was going to come out, but how would they go debut, or they just do it at a random press conference where they throw it up over on Twitter/X. We kind of didn't know how they're going to go about it. So if Big Dave is right on this one, this would be a good platform for Rossi Vice Wrestling to kind of get off on the right foot. You have Giulia literally hours away from being a free agent, and she shows up at a Pro Wrestling Nowhere show. So, and what a great, you could have went with Giulia, you could have went with Utami. Obviously, Giulia is probably she's more of the hot topic right now just because of she's been a little more chatty on social media about her leaving, So again, win-win no matter who you go with. I think Giulia was the right person to go with. She just oozes charisma. The fact that she really didn't do anything, she just came out, made an entrance, got in the ring, cut a promo, was really all of the wrestling talk on this past Monday. So good on her, good on Pro Wrestling Noah, because not only is this, again, if this is true from what Meltzer is reporting, not only is a good start for Rossi Vice Wrestling, the may or may not named Rossi Vice Wrestling, also a shot in the arm for Pro Wrestling Noah. We've been able to see what Stardom has been able to do on the New Japan side of Bushiroad to kind of get more eyes on New Japan and kind of help boost New Japan up. And I think that's what this new company, if they're going to kind of maybe pair up a little bit with Pro Wrestling Noah, I think it would be a win-win for both companies. So I know Giulia did make mention that she is looking forward to wrestling the Great Muta's daughter. So that would be something very interesting. And I think she'd fare well in that match because we know Muta with the mist, and Tora's been misting Giulia for the better part of the last year. So I think she would fare well in that match.
Reckon she's managed to build up a tolerance for mist. Yeah, I mean, it's a huge play. If this is linked to Rossi's new promotion and Rossi's new promotion is linked with Pro Wrestling Noah, then that's obviously hugely helpful. In a whole host of ways, especially if talent can get onto Noah shows, because obviously, especially at the moment, Noah is going to have a bigger viewing audience than the brand new promotion, simply because the brand new promotion is just that, brand new. So to have Giulia on one of these shows, potentially to shoot an angle, as well as wrestle, obviously, to shoot an angle, sort of promoting the new promotion, then obviously that's a hugely exciting thing. It's also been announced via Tokyo Sports, a couple of things from Tokyo Sports, in fact, that Rossi has met with his roster recently, and an announcement is expected towards the end of this month. So, Matt, unless of course this promotion is called Rossi Vice Wrestling, which would be incredible. I think everyone would agree. It looks like we might have a name and, dates for shows and things as soon as the end of April, which, that's going to make this split and everything like that just that little bit more tangible. If it wasn't already tangible from this weekend where we saw Mirai have that gauntlet, Yuzuki have that gauntlet, Utami wrestle her last Queen's Quest match, if it wasn't already tangible, finding out the promotion's name, the promotion's schedule, the full roster, and even championships, that is going to make it even more tangible, isn't it, Matt?
Yeah, and we do know the name of the company. It's Rossi Vice Wrestling. We've been saying it for months now.
I was going to say,
again,
do we?
Yeah, we do. It's going to be funny when the announcement comes out that we made mention months ago that what's going to happen is we were going to be covering the Stardom shows and the new Rossi company for the foreseeable future. And then if the Rossi's new company does wind up banging out a whole bunch of shows every week, maybe we'll split the podcast up into two different things. Obviously, that's another story for another day. But yeah, we did make mention that no matter what this wrestling company is going to be called, I think me and you, just off osmosis, is going to keep calling it Rossi Vice Wrestling. Maybe to the point in 6 months it may confuse some of the fans. Like, wait a minute, is there a third promotion coming up? Is Rossi running like an NXT developmental deal? But yeah, it's more set in stone. Obviously, we've been seeing the rumored wrestlers that are be going over to Rossi's new company. Now it seems more and more clear that it's Giulia, Utami, Mirai, Mai Sakurai, and her hat. Hopefully she gets the bigger hat now, and Yuzuki. So, and then we're gonna have the freelancers. I wouldn't be shocked if you see Nanai Takahashi in there because she obviously has a really good relationship with Rossi. I thought we'd see Soriano. That's not going to happen because she did sign that contract a few weeks ago, exclusive contract to Stardom. I thought maybe we'd see Sari. I thought Sari and Giulia might be one of the big main event matches. That still can happen, but it looks like Sari's locked in for a couple Stardom shows. But again, she's probably still doing freelance work, so that's a possibility, something that she can do. And we haven't talked about in a while the Anabe sisters. We've only really seen them compete and just tap out. And I would love to see both of them, both Tomoka and Azusa, in one of these companies. I think it would be a bigger shot in the arm for Rossi's company to bring them in, because the Stardom roster is obviously loaded. We know what their roster looks like. Rossi's company, there's only a handful of talent, really good talent. But I would love to see the Anabe sisters in one of these companies. Not just, they may still do freelance work. They just seem like they're very loyal to the Just Tap Out brand. But I don't mean to sound as disrespectful. I think most people, including you, partner, will agree that they've outgrown that. It's time for them to go on to the bigger companies, and the two biggest companies, are going to be Stardom, and then in a few months, probably Rossi's new company. So I would love to see them compete, and again, in one of these companies sometime in the near future.
I think you're right. Every time that they have wrestled on a Stardom card, they've knocked it out of the park. Obviously, coming out of a divisive tag league, let's say. Tomoka Inaba was one of the people that garnered all of the positive praise for that tag league. And Azusa Inaba, who is, I believe, about 18 months into her own wrestling journey, is already looking incredibly good. So, if the time has come to maybe graduate from Just Tap Out and move on to whether it is Stardom or whether it is Rossi Vice Wrestling, I think it will be a huge get for Rossi Vice Wrestling, because the depth in your roster then that you're starting to develop, and the youth as well, when you consider that, I know Mai Sakurai, I think, is 30, I think Giulia is 30 as well, but the rest of the roster is extremely young. You're building towards the future, and Inaba, I think they're 18 and 16 or something like that. So, to have that in your back pocket is very good. I'm sure they're going to face a lot of competition for their signature, though, if that does happen, because like I said, they have got a lot of positive buzz whenever they've wrestled. Peps Wrestling on Twitter has done a little piece on Mai Iwatani, who did an interview with Tokyo Sports, and because it's Mayu, and Mayu seems to change her mind like the rest of us change socks. She has said, Mai Iwatani said to Tokyo Sports that at one point she was 100% sure that she wanted to leave Stardom, but has now decided to stay with the promotion. Now, if that is true, that is a huge, huge thing for Stardom. However, I would take that with a pinch of salt. And Peps has actually put underneath, doesn't matter how true that is in 12 months, it's a huge PR move for Stardom at the moment. We knew that Mayu was not leaving straight away because of her film commitments. The movie comes out in May. Now, irrelevant of how unhappy she is in Stardom, how unhappy she is with the treatment of Rossi, how unhappy she is with the direction of Stardom or with Bushi Road or whatever, okay? We don't know. If she is incredibly unhappy with that, it would be really, really poor of her to outwardly show how negative she is towards it. Say that she's leaving at the end of all the promotion for a movie. It would be cutting your nose off to spite your face in some ways, wouldn't it? It makes sense that Mayu, at least until she does leave, if she leaves, she's obviously going to be saying, yeah, I'm with Stardom, obviously. It just makes sense, doesn't it, Matt?
Yeah, and exactly. It just makes sense for her to stay. Again, she's the icon of Stardom. When you think of Stardom, regardless whoever you think your all-time favorite wrestlers, whether it's Momo, whether it's Io, whether it's Mai, whether it's Utami, she is the most respected wrestler in Stardom. She literally, you couldn't have filmed it better. Literally, to the point where they're making a film. Her debut match in pro wrestling is the very first Stardom show. So, and she's been there from the forefront, has done everything, and everybody just absolutely loves Mayu. So she's not going to go and bury the company regardless of who is running it. Again, you have to keep in mind, Rob, that her name isn't the icon of Rossi Ogawa. It's the icon of Stardom. There's a good amount of people that know that Rossi is the person behind Mayu doing so much. And I hope the film that comes out, you said in May, next month, crazy to say, because we are in April. I hope it does showcase that, like what a father figure Mayu is, but she's so entrenched with with Stardom. And I know it's something me and you were kind of texting back and forth where, does she leave at the end of the year? When I think that's when her contract's up. I'm not sure. I don't know if that's ever been really public. They made mention a couple months ago that the Stardom contracts are ending at the end of March, but Mayu's is a little bit longer because of everything with the film. So I'm not really sure when her contract's up. But if you do remember when Rossi was first let go, that Mayu was very, you can just tell from her entrance, she wasn't herself. And we've had a couple of our listeners rats at some of these shows, especially the Corkin show. They basically just said, like, you can just see Mayu on her face, like almost like she didn't want to be there. Like she didn't seem like her same lovable, joyous Mayu. And that's Mayu's character. She's lovable. She's always laughing. She's throwing the baseball, for better for worse, how bad or good it is. Almost taking down the lighting fixture. I mean, she's just so lovable. That's what makes Mayu, one of the many things that makes Mayu so great. And if you remember, she was tweeting things out, how upset she was. And I believe it was President Okada who kind of called her. And then, which is a big move for the new brass at Bushiroad to be like, hey, I know you're unhappy. Tell me what's going on. Let's talk about it. And then you would just see Mayu just the next couple of weeks, you'd see she was getting happier, and happier. And now, the shows we're going to talk about here, it's, 2 months past, roughly, or it's about 2 months, give or take, since Rossi was let go. And she seems like she's having fun again. She's obviously having great matches. She's doing great things with stars. So we don't know what the future holds for Mayu, and she might not even know. Again, she said she was 100% confirmed that in her head that she was, obviously she couldn't sign a contract with Rossi's new company because of she's still under contract with Stardom Bushiroad. So we didn't know which way she was going to go, but it looks like she's having fun, and who knows what is going to happen in the next few months. We heard rumors that Tam was going to go, that Sai Kamatani was going to go, that Shuri was going to grow, that it was going to be very much like the Pro Wrestling Noah mass exodus some 20 some years ago, and clearly that's not the way it was. We start, I think Honor was a name that was kind of rumored to go, and really they only, obviously the names that left, Utami's, Mirai's, Giulia's, whatnot, are big names, and is going to help out Rossi's new company quite a bit. But again, we heard a lot of rumors of who was going to go, and they didn't. And majority of them stayed because they were able to, like, okay, let's see what this new booking committee is going to do. And it's all really been really, really good. They've been able to do really good stuff. They're packing houses. We're getting title matches on non-pay-per-views. We're getting live streams. We're getting things quicker. We're getting higher quality. From what we understand, that some of these wrestlers are making more money, and the production crew as well. So when Mayu is going to be priority number one, and I'm sure they knew that when all this was going to happen, like, Mayu is priority number one, and we're lucky enough where we have a little more time with her because she's going to be under contract longer, that I'm sure it's something that they're discussing to see what she wants, what her price tag is going to be, and ultimately to make her happy. So yeah, I still don't know. It looks like she's happier now with Bushiroad than she was before, but she still can say, I'll stay with Stardom because all my friends are here, or she could go to Rossi's new company. I mean, ultimately the ball is in her court to see what she wants to do. So I don't know. If you're going to ask me right now, as we're recording this on April 2nd, what I think she's going to do, I think she's going to stay with Stardom. I really do. Now, in 2 or 3 days, when we're meeting Mayu, which is still crazy, and we're going to be able to see her wrestle in person a few times, I might say, what, Rob, maybe she is going to go to Rossi's new company. I don't know. But again, she's going to do what's best for her. She's going to make a good amount of money regardless what company she goes to. And because she's Mayu, she's going to be put in a main event position because she's damn well earned it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we know that her contract isn't up until the end of the year. We know that there is a whole host of promotional stuff that Mayu is going to be doing with this film. It's not just a case of, right, the film is out, I'm done now. There is a whole host of things that need to go along with that. And, Mayu's not stupid, irrelevant of how she feels, irrelevant of if she is 100% sure she's staying with Stardom or she isn't. It would be bad for her going forward to then go, right, I'm only working up until my contract and then I'm out. Especially as Bushiroad are promoting her film and things like that. She's not stupid. So Mayu Iwatani might still be leaving. But she's not going to be saying that publicly. And she's certainly not going to be saying it in an interview. But, Peps is right. It's a huge PR move for Stardom for, this split, which came out of the blue for a whole host of people, ourselves included. To have Mayu, the icon of Stardom, stay for even a little bit more than the initial split is a big thing for Stardom. And I think the fact that the booking has been so much better, the vibe backstage seems to be so much better under this new regime, under Okada rather than Harada. It does seem to be better. And I think that has certainly helped. You know, there was a whole host of names bandied about people that were going to leave. Saki Kashima was another one who I heard was leaving, and then she wasn't leaving. So, you know, it's pro wrestling, as you always say, Matt. You know, card subjects change on everything. You know, Mayu might stay now until she retires. Mayu might leave in December and flip the bird as she leaves. We simply do not know.
Stone Cold Mayu, smashing beers.
Absolutely. She did actually have a little bit to say on Rossi's new promotion, and this is a quote courtesy of at Mira Wrestling on Twitter. Well, I have a vague idea of what Ogawa-san is planning to create in the future. I'm sure he'll do something incredible, so I'm looking forward to it. I want to do everything I can to not be overtaken by that. I would like to move while thinking first about the company I am currently in, and that sort of reiterates what we've been saying, you know, irrelevant of what happens after Mayu's contract, while she is under contract for Stardom, her priority is going to be Stardom. And that it just makes sense. And it's the sensible thing for Mayu to do. You know, I'm sure personally it's not a nice position to be in for Mayu. And obviously we do sympathise with that massively. Bit more good news, though, and that is that Stardom have announced that following the successful test of live shows, that live shows are going to be starting on Stardom World moving forward, beginning in April, Matt. Now, this is massive news. It means that we're not having to wait ridiculously long for shows. We can get them live. We can watch them live. We can react to them live. Gone are the days where I am having to mute Twitter during the 5-Star Grand Prix. Gone are the days where I am having to mute Twitter for championship changes, because I can watch it live starting this month. Enormous strides for Stardom, Matt.
Gone are the days when we're texting each other the day before we're recording. I'm like, what shows are we reviewing? What's up on Stardom World? And we kind of just need to know that, like, hey, this show that happened Sunday is not up yet, so we're just reviewing this one show or this two shows. So majority of the Stardom shows are, you know, the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, either all 3 days or 2 or 3 of the days. I know during Golden Week it's insane. If you remember last year, I think one show we did 4 shows, one show we did 2 shows, I think one show we reviewed 7 shows. Now we'll be able to give you all the shows that run that weekend. Again, if the shows are on just the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we'll be able to review them when we record the podcast, which we usually do on Wednesday. So, yeah, look at that, my man. Look at that. And again, this is something that we've been clamoring about for a long, long time. And again, the new regime over at Bushiroad, they are getting stuff done. They are listening to the fans. You know, again, from what we understand, a lot of these Stardom wrestlers that re-signed their contract, they're getting more money. Kudos to them. You love seeing that. Now we're getting not better production. We're getting the live stream shows. We're getting a lot of this really, really cool stuff. We're getting more Stardom wrestlers over here to the States, which again, you know, we're obviously going to be seeing this weekend, and then possibly there might be doing some other shows later on in the spring and the summer. Fingers crossed. So yeah, I mean, again, the new brass of Stardom Road, they've only been at it for 2 months, and the fact that they had to replace like one of, if not the greatest Joshi Booker of all time, and the fact that in 2 months they're able to do all of this is great. It really shows that they're listening to the fans, and hopefully just onward and upward here for the new brass over at Stardom.
I mean, let's not beat around the bush here. The Stardom World has needed an upgrade for a long time. But whether there was reticence or whatever it wasn't happening. I think Rossi leaving has prompted a lot of those changes. And we talked about this last week, Matt. We mentioned priorities. And I think one of the huge priorities with the new ownership, with Rossi, creating Rossi Vice Wrestling was making Stardom more accessible. And I think putting shows live on Stardom World is a huge, huge step forward. And I just want to take a little bit of time now just to shout out Sonny Gutierrez, who has also left Stardom as of the 31st of March, I believe his last day was, because I know he gets an incredibly bad rap. But I know very few people as hardworking as he is. Now, from what I understand, there is more than one person now on Stardom World. So it's not just a one-man operation. But for many, many years, that was a one-man operation. Yes, we had to wait, days for shows. But ultimately, when he is doing absolutely everything from the translations to the editing to uploading it and to filming it and, everything else that goes along with it, I feel like, he deserves at least some props for his time in Stardom because, he's worked incredibly hard in this promotion. Incredibly hard. So, props to Sonny Gutierrez, Matt.
Yeah, not only that, but he runs the We Are Stardom Twitter page, and
Of
I
course,
know that
yeah.
whatever we want to call it. And we've noticed there's been fewer and fewer updates. And obviously, Sonny, we'll pull back the curtain a little bit. Sonny has been communicating with us for probably the better part of a year or so, and he's been nothing but aces, nothing but great to us. And he kind of did make mention. He's like, "Hey, I'm leaving this. I'm going with Rossi's new company. It's not going to be somebody else running this Twitter page." And we've noticed there's been fewer and fewer and fewer updates as far as certain things go. And that it's somebody new that's taking over. It's going to take. And he even said, "Hey, take it easy on them. They're going to take a little bit of time." I'm like, I'm not one to badger anybody about anything, especially
Matt, because you're the most negative one. It's you are the most negative one.
That's it. I'm like, how come this match ended 7 seconds ago, and how come they don't have the results up on Twitter? What's going? I need to know the name of that hold. Which again, Sonny was always great with it. I know Sonny helped you out quite a bit in your book, and you even made. I know that you even gave him a nice little shout out afterwards. So yeah, Sonny's been nothing but great to us, and you can tell he works so hard on the production that was Stardom. I don't think us English speaking fans would have been able to enjoy Stardom as much as we did if it wasn't for him. And I know that he is going to be a huge asset for Rossi's new company. So, and I think as far as it's one thing when you get a Giulia or Utami, but when you get somebody behind the scenes that's behind the camera that is able to work as hard as he has and has been able to see as much in the Joshi world as he has, I think that's a huge plus for Rossi to get Sonny. And again, just goes to show the loyalty to the crew, the loyalty the crew has to Rossi. So, kudos to him. And, I think I speak for me and you and all of the Stardom fans when I say thank you, Sonny, for all of your hard work that you've done for Stardom. Rob, I got a quick question. It just popped into my head. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as the belts are going to go for Rossi Vice Wrestling, right? Have you ever seen the Zack Ryder Internet Championship belt where Matt Cardona, where it's basically his face with like the head?
Yeah, on the Long Island IC show. He did it, didn't he? The Internet Champ. Used to be able to win it on WWE 2K. Used to love that belt.
Oh, well, there you go. Do you think, I think you're not going to go with this, that the Rossi Vice Wrestling, you think it's going to be like that, but it's going to be Rossi's face and the hat? And like the middle, like the mid card belt, like maybe the white belt will have the regular hat, but then maybe the big belt, which might be like, again, I'm using for Stardom lingo, the red belt, the world belt with like even like a bigger hat, like a Sakurai hat. Do you think that's the way to go? Or you think that's the way they're going to go? And do you think that's the way they should go, buddy?
The Sakurai Championship, I think is the World of Sakurai Championship. I think that's perfect. I think they should just directly lift the Rossi Vice design from our website and just put it onto a belt, personally, because he just screams belt faceplate to me. Couple more things then to talk about news-wise. First things first, Yokohama Buntai All-Star Grand Queendom. We already have one match locked in for that. The IWGP Women's Championship on the line. Mayu Iwatani defending against Sari. However, we now have official another match for that card. Saori Anou defending her Wonder of Stardom Championship against the Cinderella Tournament winner 2024, Hanan. Now, Matt, if you had said to me a couple of weeks ago that this was the match, I would have said that Hanan was taking that belt. No ifs, ands, buts, no coconuts. However, with the news a couple of weeks ago that Saori Anou has signed a contract with Stardom for 12 months, I'm now very much of the opinion that Saori retains. Now, obviously, we are, give or take a month away, a month removed from this show. Obviously, it's going to be a great match that I have no doubt about. I am thinking 4.5 stars minimum. That is how much I think of these two women. However, what are your feelings towards this? Is Yokohama Buntai Hanan's time, or do you think this is just the first taste we get of Hanan in this main event scene before she eventually ascends to it in, 6, 7, 8 months?
If she was to win the belt, she's going to have great matches, and she's worthy to be in the same conversation as the great wrestlers that have held the Wonder of Stardom championships. The Yuzuki Ayakawas, the Ios, the Kairis, the Momos, the Arissas, the Sayakama. You know the history better than me, my man. There's a reason why you have 2 books that are about Stardom, which are on Amazon, by the way, folks. Another cheap plug. So she would have great matches, but I think for right now in the time, I think Saori Anou still has a lot to do with that Wonder of Stardom championship. So if you're asking me for an early prediction, I'm going to say, again, considering the fact that she did sign that full-time contract, if you're asking me for a quick prediction, I'm going to say Saori Anou retains. However, I do like, again, I grew up in the Northeast. WWF was always the big thing to watch. I always liked how the winner of the Royal Rumble got the main event shot at WrestleMania. I like how in the past 3 years, the winner of the 5-star Grand Prix, the big tournament, went to the big end of the year show to challenge for the red belt. We saw it with Shuri, we saw it with Giulia, we saw it with Suzu Suzuki. So I like how if you win the big tournament, you go to the big end of the year show. And now I like how the secondary tournament, the Cinderella tournament, you get your wish at the big show in the spring. So you have your summer tournament, the winner goes on to the end of the year for the big championship, and then you have your beginning of spring tournament, and they are able the challenge. So to me, it makes the tournaments even bigger. I hope this is something they do every year now for the Cinderella tournament. If it makes sense, the winner of the Cinderella tournament, they cash in their wish on the big spring show, which it looks like every year it's probably going to be All-Star Grand Queendom. So I like the matchup. It's going to be great. Rob already gave it 4.5 stars. The match isn't happening for another month, but Rob is living in the future. I didn't know Rob he drives a DeLorean. I don't, I guess now I'm aware that's what he's driving. He drives a DeLorean going 88 miles per hour. But so Rob's already ranking it 4.5 stars. It's going to be a great match. And if we're having that as one of our big championship matches, and then obviously we have Mayu versus Sari for the IWGP Women's Championship. And I'm still not sure where they're going with the red belt. I really thought, again, you're trying to draw 4,000 people to this venue. I really think Micah and Tam would have been the way to go. But the way we'll talk about it when we get into these shows. And we talked about it last week, the way they're building up Momo Watanabe, it seems like they're kind of pulling the Tam match back a little bit because she'll have a guaranteed title shot because she never lost the title. And she's a huge, huge draw for Stardom. Again, no disrespect to Momo Watanabe. I think Momo and Micah is going to be a better matchup than Momo and Tam. And not that Tam and Micah aren't going to be great. I just think that the styles are better with Momo and Micah. But as far as a drawing aspect, I thought they would go with Micah and Tam. But it looks like they're going to go with Micah and Momo. But I mean, if those are our 3 big championship matches, we still don't know what Saya Kamatani's doing. We don't know what Azumi's doing. We don't know what Natsupoi and Tam are doing. We still have to fill in those blanks. So still a lot of really, really good stuff, but it is shaping up to be very much like last year, an all-time show.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking, I mean, to be fair, what I think will happen, or what my angle would be is I wouldn't necessarily have Momo challenge before Tam. I personally, because I'm thinking with my heart now, and I've said this, I think on at least 3 of the last 4 episodes, I would love a Momo Watanabe red belt run in this current guise because it's something completely different to what we are used to. why not have? I mean, I think we're all in agreement that, we all knew Micah was defending the red belt against Megan Bayne at the America show. I think everyone expects Micah to retain. I think that's pretty much the lock of the year. No disrespect to Megan Bayne. I imagine it'll be a great match, but I think we can all expect Micah to retain. I think if you're looking to sell tickets to Yokohama Buntai, I would argue that Micah versus Tam is the bigger match than Micah versus Momo. Now, what I would do personally is I would have Tam come out following the match between Micah and Megan, have Tam challenge. I would have Micah beat Tam at the Yokohama Buntai because I think Micah needs that more than Tam needs it. And then I would have Momo challenge Micah. That's what I would do. I'm not saying that's what they will do. I'm not even saying that's what's best for business. That is what I would do. What we do know is that already, yes, we are a month away, but we have already got 2 absolute bangers of matches. And you're absolutely right, Matt. There's no Saya Kamatani. There's no Azumi. There's no red belt match yet. There's no Mina Shirakawa. There's no anyone else. There's like a whole host of people that aren't on this card yet. So very, very, very exciting. Stardom are being truly global, though, as we know that they are coming to America as of the 4th of April. But we are also we have got our first match confirmed, well, Stardom-wise, for the Wrestling World 2024 in Taiwan show, which is a New Japan run show, on April the 14th, which is the Sunday after WrestleMania in Zepp, New Taipei. We have a singles match, and when I first saw this, I must admit I was a little bit not confused by it. It was very much like, oh, okay. And the more I think about it, the more I think the exposure is going to be great, because the match that they have announced is a singles match, Starlight Kid versus Hanako. Now, don't forget, Hanako is not coming over to the States. Starlight Kid is, but we know that Bushiroad are huge on Starlight Kid. It was Starlight Kid who was on the Fantastica Mania card earlier in the year. This is a huge opportunity for Hanako. And I think with EXV being very much the new thing in Stardom, very much the new shiny thing in Stardom, I think giving one of their lower card wrestlers in Hanako the chance to shine against Starlight Kid, who we know is a fantastic wrestler, I think this is going to be great, because we know if it's not a title match, this is going to be lower down the card. So there's no point sending over a Mayu. There's no point sending over a Tam, a Micah, or a Saya Kamatani. There's no point. However, if you give Starlight Kid and Hanako 8, 9, even 10 minutes, match 2 or 3 on this card, that could do loads for Hanako in particular. Okay? Because, like, Hanako's what? A year and change into her own career? Wrestling on a New Japan show in another country, I think this is great. Yes, it's not Blockbuster. Were Stardom having the main event on that show, I think we'd have different wrestlers. But I think this is the perfect little excursion for Hanako, Matt.
Yeah, you're giving opportunity to the, and I don't mean to be disrespectful here, but the lower card wrestlers. We saw them, you mentioned Fantastic Mania. It would have been easy to put Starlight Kid in there with Momo Watanabe. You know, obviously the 2 of them former Goddess of Stardom tag team champions, and then along with Saki Kashima, they were Artists of Stardom champions. But they gave the nod to Ruaka, and it got more eyes on some of the, mid-card wrestlers that is Stardom. Can you easily send over Mayu versus Starlight Kid? Sure. But again, it's not going to be the main event. Can you send Mina over? Can we send Azumi over? Can you send Sai Kamatani over? Micah over? Like they're doing with the States? Sure. But at the same time, this gives the mid-card wrestlers more of an opportunity to shine in front of a different audience on a bigger show. Oh, and who's she in the ring with? Starlight Kid. So Starlight Kid is going to take care of her. Starlight Kid is going to make her look good. And then ultimately, Starlight Kid more than likely is going to win that match. And we've seen Hanako, as she has improved so much in the ring over these last few months. So it's basically almost like saying a reward, like, hey, you were out there, You're busting your ass. You're doing great things. You're having great matches, whether it's a singles match, tag match, or one of these EXV multi-person matches. This is your reward. We're going to send you out of the country to wrestle for New Japan on a completely different show, in a completely different country, and we're going to have you in the ring with Starlight Kid, and you're going to have a great match. So again, it's rewarding. You're rewarding. It's one thing to reward a Mayu, again, a Mina, a Micah, so on and so forth, all the time because of what they do in the ring and press work, and they're drawing tickets and selling pay-per-views and selling Stardom World subscriptions. But why not? Why not have Ruaka go? Why not have Hanako go? Why not in a couple months, send over, a couple of the rookies, Aran and Yugami, Asaki Kashima, send over Asai Ida to do some independence and maybe get them on a Ring of Honor show like we saw at Mina, or put them on something in a multi-person match on a Collision or a Rampage. Why not? The more exposure, the better. And you don't always have to have exposure for your top talent. So I think this is really good for Stardom to do this. And again, it's going to boost the morale in the locker room by saying, hey, they're giving opportunities to not just the Mayus, but to the other wrestlers as well. So yeah, I see this as a positive for everybody.
Well, yeah, you look at the show that they ran in Thailand as well. They sent over Hazuki, they sent over Momo Watanabe, but they also sent over Wakatsuki as well, who again is, on the lower card. So, it's nice to see that there are opportunities for these wrestlers to ply their trade in other countries. So yeah, excellent opportunity for Hanako. Speaking of other wrestlers in the stratosphere or in the wider wrestling world, we have had the matches confirmed for Windy City Riot, which is going to be taking place in Chicago on the 12th of April from the Wintrust Arena in Chicago, I believe. Mina Shirakawa will be on the pre-show in a tag match. She'll be teaming with Viva Van, taking on the team of Alex Windsor and Trish Adora. And then for your New Japan Strong Women's Championship, Stephanie Vaca, the champion, making her first title defense against Azumi, who, Matt, must really, really, really want this belt.
Yeah, because she's challenging for it once again. She had that great match with Giulia back at the end of last year, and she made mention that she wants to challenge for this belt. So this is going to be great. Stephanie Vaca, she's fantastic. Obviously, Azumi, I make mention literally every week on the show. She's one of the most special and talented wrestlers in all of professional wrestling. And you're going to be in a hardcore, smart town, a town like Chicago that loves their pro sports, especially professional wrestling. So, this match is going to be great. And correct me if I'm wrong, buddy, this Thursday in Philadelphia, they're on opposite ends of a 6-person tag match. So I think you're going to see Azumi and Steph Vaca a lot in the ring at the world-famed ECW arena. So to kind of almost give us a little bit of a preview of what we're going to get in 2 weeks' time.
Agreed. We've also got a match confirmed for Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor from the Liacouras Center. Have I said that right, Matt?
I believe so, but it's basically Temple University. That's
right.
what my friends that work for Ring of Honor and AEW said. It's just like, just put in the address. Once you get to Temple University, follow all the wrestling fans. That was the instructions that was given to me.
Brilliant directions. We'll get him there though. But that match is a 6-woman tag. Mina Shirakawa, Maika Meisera taking on the team of Saya Kamatani, Tam Nakano, and Azumi. So Mina Shirakawa, following her Ring of Honor debut against Anna Jay last week, will be in a 6-woman tag on the pay-per-view. And I am incredibly excited for these women to get the time, Matt, to really blow it out of the water, especially, and this is no disrespect to anyone else in the ring, everyone in this match is a fantastic wrestler, but I am really looking forward to the Twitter reaction to Meisera and Azumi, because they are going to ramp it up to 100 for their exchanges.
And you're going to get that probably the day before. I mentioned that we're probably going to get Azumi and Steph Vaca. We're going to get it with Azumi and Starlight Kid in the ECW arena. And I made mention, I don't know what they're going to do on that card, but as long as Azumi and Starlight Kid are on opposite ends, even if we only get that 1 or 2 minute exchange in the beginning, that building has not seen anything like that since Malenko and Guerrero, some 30 years earlier. So you're going to obviously see that at the Temple University in Ring of Honor for Supercard of Honor. And partner, I made mention of this on Twitter just a couple days ago. If you go back and watch these early Supercard of Honor shows, and I've been so lucky that I had my cup of coffee in Ring of Honor some 20 some years ago. As loaded as some of those shows were, they always would have like the Dragon Gate 6-person tag, or they would have Dragon Gate, Noah, and Ring of Honor wrestlers. And the 6-person tag, it's almost like a tradition where it always steals the show. And don't get me wrong, I'm looking forward to Shida versus Athena. I'm looking for Queen Amidala versus Billy Starks for the women's TV title tournament. And obviously Mark Briscoe versus Eddie Kingston in the main event. This is the match I'm clearly looking forward to the most. And I think very much like on the earlier Supercard of Honors run some 15, 20 years ago, they always steal the show, the 6-person tag match. And I think this is going to absolutely steal the show as well. As long as this match gets time, they're going to absolutely blow it out of the water. And yeah, you're right. I think Thursday, come Friday, I think the social media reactions will be like, what is this? The people that have only seen a little bit of Stardom, that only heard a little bit of Stardom, that are frequent watchers to the independent product and the Ring of Honor product, the AEW product, that their minds are going to be blown. And kind of a little funny story, my friend. You know me, I like to save these funny stories for the podcast. So this past week was Easter. And I hope everybody had a great Easter holiday. Mine was fantastic as always. So there's a lot of church with me involved. So Thursday was Holy Thursday. So I had my phone shut off like I always do. And I turn it on as we're leaving church. And that's when the announcement happened that my Twitter blew up that this match was happening. So as we were leaving, Amber was driving because if my wife doesn't drive, sometimes she gets car sick. And I'm going, wow, how about this match? Micah, Mina, and Mai Sakurai versus Azumi, Saya Kamatani, and Tam Nakano. Now you probably know where I'm going to go with this. And I didn't even mean this. Sometimes I like to poke the bear a little and lean into this. But I even said, I go, wow, with Utami leaving the company, this is like the best 6-person tag team you can possibly have in all of wrestling. And she goes, well, what side is that? I go, to the 2 members of Queen's Quest and Tam. I said, that's a great team. And I meant that again, seriously, because I wasn't in full train of thought of, being a heel to my wife as I tend to be. And she goes, yeah, that is a great team, except that Tam's in it. And it was just the way that she said it. And I was like, we just left church. How dare you? But in all seriousness, it really is. It is, Queen's Quest is my favorite faction. I'm a huge fan of Tam. And of course, on this podcast, I lean into a little bit more. That is going to be a great match because you have all these underlying stories. You have the golden generational rivalry with Micah versus Saya Kamatani. You have Mina and Tam. You have Mina, the person that took the belt from Saya Kamatani last year at All-Star Grand Queen to end that legendary run she had with the white belt. And oh yeah, by the way, you have Mai Sakurai, the current high-speed champion, and Azumi, in my opinion, the greatest high-speed champion of all time. All on the sides. You know that Saya and Azumi, their tag team stuff is going to be great. Mina and Mike are in the same faction as EXV. Mai Sakurai is very much like Azumi, where you can put her in with any tag team partner, although she's the best with Suzuki, and we'll get into that later. And she's great. Yeah, if this thing gets over 10 minutes, I think, and again, it doesn't look like there's too many matches announced on this card. I think that this match may steal the entire weekend of WrestleMania weekend.
Speaking of Mai Sakurai, she's going to be very, very busy over the month of April because it was announced that she will be challenging Hirooki Masaki for the World Woman Pro Wrestling Diana World Championship on April 29th at Korakuen Hall. So that is going to be a match to keep your eye on as well because Hirooki Masaki is fantastic. Matt, with that being all the news, and good God, it took us a while to get through all that news, I think it's probably time we kick into these pay-per-views from this week. So yes, we did have 2 pay-per-views. They weren't full-priced pay-per-views, but pay-per-views nonetheless. Before we go through everything in granular detail, talk about title changes, debuts, all that sort of good stuff, what did you think, Matt, overall as a weekend of these 2 shows?
I thought they were great. I woke up Saturday. It was midnight my time, so I took a little bit of a nap and then watched the first show live. The next show was Sunday was Easter. I didn't get to it until later on Easter Sunday. But I thought both shows were really good. I think the 2 title matches were great. I thought Giulia versus Suzu was terrific. The emotion of Utami Hayashisa's last big match as part of Queen's Quest, and the fact that Momo Watanabe was kind of the big antagonizing heel in that match. Obviously, Momo was the second leader of Queen's Quest, but then defected at the end of 2021 to go to Oedo Tai. So I thought all that stuff was good. The Mirai Gauntlet I thought was great. I thought for these two to be a combined pay-per-view. This is something we've been made mention the last 2 years when they have these pay-per-views that are back to back. They really should do something where you can purchase them individually, or if you buy them as a group, you get a little bit of a discount. And considering the fact, and I could be wrong, that these two pay-per-views combined were cheaper than a normal Stardom pay-per-view, like the Cinderella Final or the Anniversary Show or All-Star Grand Queendom. I think that was a couple dollars cheaper than the normal show or the normal pay-per-views they put out. But again, I think this is just kind of a testing phase that they were doing just to make sure. We saw it last week or 2 weeks ago, with some of the matches from the Cinderella tournament, and then with this as well. So I thought the production was great. Did I get my money's worth? Hell yeah, I did. I thought both these shows were really, really good, and I'm excited to talk about them. But answer your own question, my man. What did you think about these shows as far as a combined pay-per-view?
I thought they were both very, very good. I thought both days had really, really, really high ups, which was great. There weren't many, if any, lows, to be perfectly honest, at least from a match quality standpoint. Obviously, it's really sad to see Mai Sakurai leave, for Mirai to leave, for Yuzuki to leave, and obviously the emotional rollercoaster that was Utami Hayashista's last weekend with Queen's Quest. But as an actual spectacle, I thought it was really, really good. My only real concern, and not even concern, but nitpick, is I don't want this to become a regular thing, because people are already paying for Stardom World. Okay? What we don't want then is that every other show, or, every weekend show or whatever, is made a pay-per-view as well. Because that's where we get into we're already paying for a streaming service. Why are we then having to pay extra? Which is, I know, an issue that some people are having with New Japan World, where you get random shows that are pay-per-view that you've got to pay for more than you have to actually pay the subscription for New Japan World. Also, your wrestlers are going to inherently wrestle harder on a pay-per-view. The more pay-per-views you have, the more injuries you get, and suddenly we're back in 2023. So this is sort of just a exercise with caution. If this was just a test to test out all of the live streaming stuff, then I have no issues at all. However, if this is going to be, a case of, right, well, we get one main pay-per-view a month, but we're also going to have 2 or 3 little pay-per-views, that money adds up. And, not everyone can afford all of these shows and then are having to wait 3, 4, 5 days for them to come up on Stardom World. That's where, for me personally, as a model, Stardom have got to be a little bit careful. Do you see where I'm coming from, Matt?
I agree. First of all, you called yourself a model, and you are. You are the modern day Rick Martel, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we may mention at the beginning of the show that they're going to be live streaming all the shows. Yeah, I hope it's not where it's just like, okay, we're going to be doing 11 or 12 a month and 5 or 6 you have to pay for. Again, I think they kind of just use this as a test to make sure it's going to go well and to capitalize on the fact that we had to get a belt off Mirai. We had to get the belt off Utami. We're giving you pay-per-view quality matches to do that. We had Giulia's pretty much her final match in Stardom with Suzuki, and we had a last big brouhaha with Utami Hayashishita. So considering the fact that it just happened to be almost kind of a perfect storm, that it was the end of the month, we needed to do these title changes. We needed to get them off these wrestlers. We have the opportunity to make a couple extra bucks. I didn't hear any really Stardom fans complaining because it was well worth the money, especially that crazy Star vs. AphroditE match. So yeah, I see your point. I just think that's what they thought. Like, hey, Giulia's a big star, Tommy's a big star. We have a lot of things, really cool things that we need to progress in the story, and we need to fast forward it because contracts are coming up and people are going to be free agents. And obviously, you don't want Giulia showing up on a Pro Wrestling Noah show with any championship belt. So I think that's basically what happened. I think you may see the Cork and Hall shows from time to time be a lesser pay per view, like few bucks, like how it was previous. I think during the 5-star Grand Prix, you may see, you'll probably have your big shows, maybe in Cork and Hall or Sumo Hall and whatnot. They might be the pay-per-views, which you won't mind paying because you're going to get great wrestling. But yeah, if you're going to start doing these mini pay-per-views and 3 or 4 a month, along with the one big one where Stardom would be like, well, you're not paying full price. I'm like, yeah, we get that. But at the same time, you got us all excited that we were getting live stream shows, and now you're going to make us pay for it. We're already paying the $7-8 for Stardom World. So again, hopefully this is just a test where they kind of pull it back just a little.
Let's talk about the shows themselves then. So we started with the show from the 30th of March, which was the show from Sendai Pit, which drew in an attendance of 493 people. Stardom World listed this as super crowded. And upon a little bit of research, this appears to be the largest announced attendance for Sendai Pit. The previous record was 480 something, which was also from Stardom, which was in 2022, I believe, July 2022. So hugely positive going forward. However, your card is as follows and your results are as follows. So we started with a singles match and the debut of a brand new rookie, Starlight Kid, defeating Rian in 9 minutes and 30 seconds with a moonsault. In a Who Gets to Join Cosmic Angels match, Mai Sakurai versus Sayaka Kurora ended in a time limit draw. Called it. Three-way tag team match. The AphroditE team of Rina and Ruaka defeated the EXV team of Hanako and Waka Tsukiyama and the God's Eye team of Rana Yagami and Saki Kashima in 7 minutes and 34 seconds. Ruaka gained the pinfall over Rana Yagami with the neck hanging bomb. In a three-way match, Yuna Mizumori defeated Lady C and Mai Sakurai in 5 minutes and 11 seconds. Yuna Mizumori pinning Mai with the Tropicana. We then had the Yuzuki Gauntlet match with 1 minute matches where she drew with Mayu, drew with Momokogo, drew with Hazuki, drew with Koguma, lost to Saida, and then drew with Hanan in what was a very, very entertaining and very fun little gauntlet just to say goodbye to Yuzuki before her final match the following night. In a four-way tag team match, we had the Cosmic Angels team of Sayori Poi, Sayori Yano, and Natsupoi defeating Giulia and Tam Nakano, the AphroditE team of Momo Watanabe and Natsuko Tora, and the Queen's Quest team of Azumi and Miyu Amasaki, with Sayori Yano pinning Miyu with the Potter Ring in 10 minutes and 31 seconds. Artist of Stardom Championship match next with Empress Nexus, Venus, Maika Mina Shirakawa, and Xena defeating the champions Aberembo, God's Eye, Amisori, Mirai, and Syuri in 17 minutes and 35 seconds. EXV becoming the 32nd Artist of Stardom champions with Xena pinning Mirai in 17 minutes and 35 seconds with the Thunderstruck, ending Aberembo God's Eye's reign with 87 days and with one successful title defense. And then finally, your main event, the Goddess of Stardom title match. Crazy Star, Meisera, and Suzu Suzuki defeated the champions AphroditE, Sai Kamitani, and Utami Hayashishita in 18 minutes and 53 seconds. Suzu pinning Utami with the German suplex. Ending AphroditE's second reign with the Goddess of Stardom Championships at 119 days. One successful title defense with, a very, very good match. But Matt, first things first, Xena announced that she is the first person of Middle Eastern descent to get a championship in Stardom. So I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, breaking down new barriers, and that's something really, really cool. And her exchanges with Mirai, again, the booking in Stardom has been so good that on these, again, quote unquote house shows, they've really done a great job pairing off Mirai and Xena. And we kind of figured that this was going to culminate in either a singles match, but obviously Mirai's time with Stardom for now has ran out, so this was kind of the best option. So they did a great job building those two up and building these teams up. But yeah. Good on Xena. Well earned. We make mention almost every week that her first run in Stardom was pretty good, but this one's been absolutely excellent. She's improved so much, and it's only going to get better considering the fact that she's part of this new faction and now a champion in this faction. Looks like she's going to probably be with Stardom for the long also, and you love to see it because we're getting fresher faces in, fresher matchups in, so yeah, good on her.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look at this card. We'll start with Starlight Kid and Rian. What do you think of the debut of the brand new rookie?
I thought Rian was really good. Starlight Kid, again, we mentioned probably what she's going to do with her match with Hanako coming up here in just a few weeks, really made her look good in her debut. Made sure she was comfortable. But it just seems like to me that anytime we get any of these new rookies, with maybe the exception of Rana Yugami, everything is good. I know. Let me rephrase that. With the exception of Rana Yugami, everybody's strikes are kind of average. Like Rana's because of her martial art background, she came in blistering with kicks and forearms. We saw with Miyu Amasaki. Miyu would throw some forearms, and I'm like, you can't even break an egg with that. And we've kind of seen a little bit with Yuzuki. We've seen it with Mai Sakurai and Sayaka Kurora as well. And same theory on some of these forearms to Starlight Kid. She was feeding into them. She was really, really trying to get Rianne to fire up. And again, it's something small that I'm sure she'll work out. You have some of the best strikers in all of wrestling in Stardom, the Momo Watanabes, the Hazukis, the Shuris. It's literally something where one of them can pull her aside for 5 or 10 minutes at a show to show her how to strengthen up her striking. The match might have been for a rookie maybe a minute or two too long, 9 minutes and 30 seconds. You were kind of exposed to her a little bit on her weaknesses, again, which was her striking. But other than that, I thought everything was good. She had a lot of really cool roll-ups, a lot of really cool near falls. Again, Starlight Kid she went out of her way to make sure that Rianne looked good here in her first match. Very much like this last crop of rookies we've seen, the Hanakos, the Yuzukis. I know Yuzuki's out of her, on her way out, but you know what I mean? The Yuzukis, the Ayas, the Sayaka Kuroras, the Rani Yugamis, the crop of young rookies that only have a handful of matches under the belt in Stardom. It just goes to show how great the Stardom dojo is at training, because Rihanna, again, in her first match, looked like she's been wrestling 3 or 4 years. And we've been saying that pretty much with all the rookies in Stardom. So I thought it was really good. Again, it just goes to show you what a great talent Starlight Kid is, that she's able to, lead a match and carry a match with someone that's never had a match before on a pay-per-view, make her look good. It's just, tighten up the forearms there a little bit, Rihanna, and I think you'll be good to go. 3.25 stars for me.
Obviously, we'll get to the 2 title matches as they're the big talking points, really, of this show. But I just wanted to highlight 2 other matches on this card. The first being Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora in a Custody of Cosmic Angels match. How did you think both women looked with that 10-minute time limit? Was there someone who was clearly the stronger in your eyes? Obviously, Aya Sakura has been out since, I believe, July, and then came back in March, so out for a significant amount of time. Do you think she is looking at the same level as Sayaka Kurora, or do you think that there is a noticeable step back in the way that she's attacking this match?
I don't think it's a step back from Aya. I think it's just another huge step up from Sayaka Kurora. Again, she's won when she first started the match with Sayaka Kamatan. It's like, okay, it's her first match. She has potential, but Hanako looked better in her debut. Rana looked better in her debut. Yuzuki looked better in her debut, and she's been just improving massively, massively on these shows. Again, I think Aya looks great since she's been back. She looks comfortable in the ring. She's more, understands who Aya Sakura is as a professional wrestler. But I think Sayaka Kurora has just been raising the bar with each and every outing. And I thought both of them were really good here. Again, you have 2 rookies out there with no Tam, no Yuna, no Sherry, no Hazuki on the other side or on the apron. It's just the 2 of them in the ring. So when you have 2 rookies, you're not sure how it's going to go. The fact that it went the full 10-minute time limit, so it's not like, well, we'll put the 2 rookies out there, we'll give them 3 or 4 minutes, let them kind of just do what they do best to get them in, get them out. No, you had a story here in 10 minutes. I thought it was pretty good, and I did enjoy this match. I had this one very much at the 3.25 stars mark that I had the opener at.
Yeah, and obviously with this going to a time limit draw, Tam came out. We have a tag match then to sort of further that stipulation. And I'm wondering if we will just eventually get to the point where these 2 women have proved themselves beyond such a doubt that Cosmic Angels just have to bring them in. I don't think 5 or 6 people is too many for a faction, as we've seen with Oedo with their 8,435 members. And I think it'd be good for Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora to have a home as well. The Gauntlet match. This was a lot of fun, considering we only had 1 minute for each match. I felt like with each 1 minute, everyone still had time to get their personality over which I think was really important. You had Mayu, who really did not understand the constraints of a time limit. You had Hazuki just wanting to hurt poor Yuzuki as much as she could. There was a great moment where just after the Koguma match, Yuzuki is very, very tired, is getting water from Mayu Iwatani, is clearly, struggling, turns around and there's Hazuki, the one person you don't want to be staring down on the barrel of. Sayurida getting obviously the big pinfall, and then Hanan at the end. I thought this was a really, really good send-off for the rookie, and just generally quite fun. Whereas Mirai's was very emotional, I feel like this one was more based in, we are stars, we have a lot of fun together, let's show everyone the fun that we have, Matt.
Yeah, and you look at all the talent in this ring. Kaguma, former two-time Goddess of Stardom champion, made it to the finals of the Cinderella tournament twice. Mayu, who's done everything. Hanan, the current Cinderella champion, tournament winner. Only one person, Rob, in this match got a clear victory over Yuzuki. And Rob, tell me who that person is.
I'm sorry, I was doing something then. I'm sorry, what did you say?
Only out of this loaded stars roster.
Uh-huh.
In this match, only one person had a clean 1-2-3 win over Yuzuki. Rob, who is that person?
That is the person that is going to be cashing in on Seth Rollins at WrestleMania Night 2, my friend. Saya Gorilla Power Ida.
Now, again, Rob, you have great wrestlers in this gauntlet. First of all, great Momo Kogo is back. I thought we weren't sure when they mentioned that she had an injury right after the Cinderella tournament. So great that she's back. She looks great. But yeah, Momo Kogo, Mayu, all these people in here. Now, Rob, only one person in this entire gauntlet said 1 minute. No, I need more than a minute to inflict my violence. So much so that after the bell was over, they had their tag partner, the lovable Kaguma, distract the referee so she can inflict more violence onto the rookie.
And Hanan. It was Hanan as well. Don't be putting this all on Kaguma. Hanan may look all innocent and young. No. She was physically dancing with the referee to distract it, and that was Hazuki. Violent Hazuki.
Yes, exactly. So I just thought that was funny that you have all these. And I like the rock, paper, scissors slap you in the face spot that Yuzuki and Mayu did. I thought that was really fun. But again, I thought it was awesome that it's like, oh man, out of all these people in the match, Saida gets the pinfall, and Hazuki's like, the heck with your 1 minute time limit. I'm going to keep instructing violence onto the poor rookie. So I guess that's one way to go about it. But yeah, it was fun. You could see, not only they were minute matches, they were all a minute sprint. If you ever tried wrestling, the cardio in wrestling is absolutely insane. So you may be thinking, well, it's only a minute, but like try to run as fast as possible for 30 seconds, throw yourself on the ground, and then run as fast as possible for another 30 seconds. That's basically what happened here a handful of times. So good on Yuzuki. You can see that she was getting tired towards the end, but she was really, really to stick it out, especially with that last minute match she had with Hanan. Yeah, it was really good. Just because it's a gauntlet, I just don't rate it, but I really, really enjoyed it. And I thought it was really, really fun.
Yeah, and obviously you've got two gauntlets over this weekend, and I felt like the Yuzuki one offered something a little bit different to the Mirai one. I think that's really important. You don't want to have to wrestle the same match. And I thought this was really nice. Yuzuki said she wanted to wrestle Mayu Iwatani one more time. I don't think this was necessarily what she was thinking, but it was nice. And again, all of the members of Stars got a little bit of a chance to show that bit of personality that makes them such a lovable faction. Let's talk about these two title matches then, Matt. Both title changes we sort of knew were coming. Obviously, Mirai and Utami leaving the company. Both are champions. Both have to lose their belts before they leave. Obviously, Eberembo, God's Eye, they lose the belts 87 days as champions, only one title defense. It's probably not going to be an Artist of Stardom run that lives long in the memory. However, I am very, very excited at the trio of Maika, Mina, Shirakawa, and Xena as champions.
You have Xena, who is very much made to look like the MVP in this match, and that wasn't by accident. Obviously, this is clearly when these six wrestlers put this match together. It's just like, okay, obviously, and I thought Ami Sourei too. I thought Ami Sourei is right below Xena in the losing role. Ami Sourei got a lot of offense on Maika, and if this is a matchup that maybe we get somewhere down the line as we're trying to pad up Maika's, successful title defenses with that red belt, I'm all for it because we saw Ami and Maika in that Korakuen Hall show back last year where the winner would go on to then eventually, in that mini tournament, to for the vacant title. They had great chemistry there. Their stuff here was really good. And again, Ami got the better of the red belt champion. So again, if this is a match somewhere late spring, early summer, that we get a championship match somewhere down the line at a Cork or something like that, I'm all for it because these two have great chemistry. Obviously, it starts with Mirai and Xena, and if you again, when you're a Stardom fan, you watch all the shows. It really rewards you when it comes to like a crescendo match like this because these two are just wailing on each other again on these quote unquote house shows. But the two of them, Xena wants to start, Mirai wants to start, and you already know where it's going to go. You know where it's going to go. They do some really good stuff there. Mina and Mirai's chemistry was really good. Obviously, Mina's terrific. There's some really great spots with Shuri and Micah. Those two had a very underrated red belt match back in 2022, but ultimately the story here is Xena. But I do like, even though Mirai on her way out, you kind of figured she'd be taking the L because that's just the way to do business. And putting Xena over was the right person, but at the same time, it took Micah, Mina, and Xena pretty much all wailing on Mirai to put her out. To eventually she eats the Thunderstruck and just a shade over 17 minutes. I thought it was really good. I thought it was really hard hitting. Makes me anxious and hopefully anxious in a good way that we'll get an Ami Soya versus Micah red belt match somewhere down the line. And it wouldn't hurt me too much if they put Shuri back into the championship picture because her stuff with Micah was great as well. Considering the fact that Micah's defeating Saya Kamatani, huge star with the company. She beat Utami a few weeks ago, obviously not with the company any longer, but one of the best champions we've ever seen. That we're really giving Micah some big wins for that World of Stardom championship. We made mention that Momo probably going to fall to Micah. Tam is probably going to fall to Micah. Obviously, two big stars for Stardom in the last handful of years, and I would love to see Shuri get a crack at that World of Stardom championship against Micah. So all in all, really good stuff. I really like this match. I understand. I wish the artist run was a little bit longer, but I understand. You have to do what you have to do. You can't keep one of your belts on somebody that is leaving the company. I thought it was good stuff. Again, I liked how Xena was elevated in this match. I had this one at 4 stars.
And finally, AphroditE versus Crazy Star. This is the match that we wanted from many weeks ago. But unfortunately, we couldn't due to Suzu's injury, or Suzu's illness, should I say. I felt like this delivered. This delivered in spades, as we knew it would. I was concerned a couple of weeks ago that Suzu was being lost in the shuffle following a defeat at Dream Queendom. I'm glad I've been massively proved wrong here. She's a Goddess of Stardom champion, her and Mai Sakurai. I feel like, as I said last week, the Goddess of Stardom division is in very safe hands. When you look at the division, Sayori Poi, Meltier, O2 Line, you've got the Oedetai XL team, you've got the Empress Nexus Venus teams, you've even got, FWC, Wing, Gory, Eye Contact, depending on which way you want to go for stars. So I feel like there's a lot of teams to challenge, and I feel like Crazy Star, as the sort of pinnacle of that division, is going to be very good. Obviously, it's incredibly devastating to see not only AphroditE lose, but also Utami Hayashishita to leave. Matt, what did you think of this final AphroditE match?
I knew this was going to be good. My expectations were really high, and this was once AphroditE won the tag belts back last year. We didn't know that Utami was leaving up until a few weeks ago. I thought they would go on this monster run, and considering the fact they were very vocal that they wanted to challenge Thunder Rock, their record for longest reigning and most successful title defenses, and I was like, well, if they're putting all this up there on social media and putting it all out there, this is something that they're probably going to go with and chase. But obviously, Utami not wanting to stay with the company. So, and again, that's your choice. But at the same time, they had some great matches. Again, there's only 3 championship matches. They had the match where they defeated Divine Kingdom to win the belts. They had that great match with Momo and Tora at the end of the year show at Dream Queendom to retain. And this one was my favorite of the 3. I thought this was great. Kind of figured, again, very much like Mirai dropping the fall here. You figured it'd be Utami to drop the fall, and you figured it'd be Suzu, so the one to defeat her. Now, if you do remember at that a really great, underrated Cork and Hall show and match, it was Suzu Suzuki as part of Prominence that pinned Utami for the Artist of Stardom Championship successful defense. So Suzu does have 2 clean victories over one Utami Hayashishita. But yeah, you made mention, and a lot of Suzu Suzuki fans were a little worried about her, considering the fact that she really wasn't pushed much in the last 2 or 3 months, but this weekend she's right back in the main event scene, and rightfully so. Liked how the match started out with a little bit of chain wrestling with Suzu and Utami, like some slow plodding chain wrestling. Then it tags out to Sai and May, and they just go absolutely crazy, because obviously Mai Sakurai is the high speed champion, and Sai Kamatani has that explosive offense. I thought it was really good. We had great double teams from both teams, both May and Suzu, and obviously AphroditE with Sai and Utami. I make mention they're the best tag team in the world, and this probably is their swan song, but what a way to go out. I thought there was some really good stuff here. I like how Suzu escaped the torture rack bomb and hit this really crazy Rana, spiking Utami on her head. But eventually, though, Sai Kamatani, I liked how, as you're building towards the finish, that anytime Suzu takes one of these big blows or big moves from Suzuki, whether it's the Poison Rana or whether it was the German suplex or the tequila shot, Saya is always there to make the save for her partner. I mean, that just shows great tag team wrestling. Then she makes the save, and then they would do a double team move, like they would hit the Magic Killer. Ultimately, though, Suzu hits the tequila shot, and then she hits the back-to-back German suplexes, and I thought, wow, what a great way for this to finish. But then Utami kicks out, and again, very much like Utami did against that match with Mike, and now you're putting doubt into people's heads. It's like, wait a minute, is AphroditE going to retain? And did maybe Utami say, yeah, you know what, maybe I'll stay? Maybe did she re-sign her contract? And that's how good Utami is the pro wrestler. You don't think that she's going to win some of these matches, but she puts that doubt in your head in a good way. But then ultimately, that crazy star, they have almost like a new tag team finish. And it's basically almost a version of what AphroditE does. If you remember, Utami does the deadlift German suplex as Sai Kamatani comes off the top rope for the missile dropkick. But this one they just do with Mai Sakurai doing a springboard, which I think looks so cool. And then basically it's a German suplex springboard dropkick combination that does in Utami Hayashishita. This was great. Another great tag match, not only for these two teams, but for the company that is Stardom. This was almost perfect for me. I had this one at 4 3/4 stars. I absolutely love this match, and this is a match that I definitely want to go back sometime soon to rewatch.
Absolutely. It has alternate commentary written all over it. And Mai Sakurai and Suzuki, you look back at when they first debuted and they felt like the odd couple. They've taken that odd couple aesthetic and really, really made it work for them. Mai Sakurai is one of those that I really look forward to seeing, because she is just inherently eye-catching, just in her mannerisms, in the way she is around the ring. She just genuinely seems to be a ball of energy, and I really, really like that. It's devastating to see AphroditE's reign end this way, even if we knew that it was going to happen. It's sad, but ultimately, at least they went out with a banger of a match, which we know that obviously AphroditE are more than capable of. Let's move on then to the second and last show we are going to be looking at, and this was another sellout crowd, this time in Yamagata Big Wing Exhibition Hall. This was the day after the 31st of March. No title matches, but still a loaded show, and we'll go through it now. So we opened with a singles match. Mai Sakurai defeating Yuzuki in her last ever Stardom match in 8 minutes and 11 seconds with the dropkick. In a tag team match, Wingori, Hanan, and Sayurida defeated Maika and Rian, with Hanan pinning Rian with the Dandelion. Tag team match, the Cosmic Angels team of Natsupoi and Yuna Mizumori defeated Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora, with Aya Sakura getting pinned by Natsupoi after the Ferial Gift. In an 8-woman tag team match that could have wider Artist of Stardom implications, the Stars team of Hazuki Koguma, Mayu Iwatani, and Momokogo defeated the EXV team of Hanako, Mina Shirakawa, Waka Tsukiyama, and Xena. Mayu pinning Xena with the moonsault in 10 minutes and 5 seconds, which was a bit of a surprise given Xena's performance the previous day. Tam Nakano then defeated Mai Sakurai in Mai's last Stardom match, coming full circle to Mai's debut, which I thought was nice. Tam pinning Mai Sakurai with the Violet Screwdriver in 12 minutes and 49 seconds. Very different gauntlet match for Mirai, which she ended up winning one match, losing two, and drawing two. The full thing lasting 17 minutes and 36 seconds. Beating Rani Yagami, drawing with Amisori, losing to Saki in 12 seconds, beating Saki, and then drawing with Syuri. Our semi-main saw Giulia and Suzuki go to a 20-minute time limit draw, which I both loved and didn't like at the same time, but we'll get into that. And then And then to finish, we had Ueda Tai, Momo Watanabe, Natsuko Tora, Rino Ruaka, and Starlight Kid defeating the Queen's Quest team of Azumi, Lady C, Miyu Amasaki, Saya Kamatani, and Utami Hayashishita, with Momo pinning Utami with the Peach Sunrise, with the whole full circle of that. Utami coming into the company, joining up with Momo Watanabe in her first weeks as a wrestler, and then having Momo be the one to pin her clean in one of her final Stardom matches. I loved the symmetry of that. But Matt, what would you like to talk about from this card here?
Rob, I'd like to touch upon match number 5 with Mai Sakurai versus Tam Nakano. And again, I thought it was really cool that Mai Sakurai, for those who've only been watching Stardom a year or two, she did start in Cosmic Angels. And I do remember the promo very, very vividly in my head, where she said she wants to fight with Giulia because she does not want to dance anymore. And then Tam points at Saori, or she points at Micah Himika, and Natsuko and said, "Well, you dance, so what's the point there?" I just thought that was really funny and just made me remember that. Now, obviously, I am the big Tam Nakano fan, not only on this podcast but of the universe as well. There's very few people that follow Tam Time and walk the Tam road as much as I do. However, Rob, I literally have one note. Now, usually I take my notes, I write down what the finish is, I write a few little things. However, I have this circled in my notebook quite a bit because I don't know if you've noticed this, and I don't think that you did because you would have made mention to me either on this podcast or in a text message. Do you know what Tam Nakano did that may make you a bigger fan of Tam than me in this match?
Is it that she kicked out of the diving elbow drop?
Buddy, the diving elbow drop didn't happen. So here's my notes. Mai Sakurai hits the Shining Black. She hits the Shining Buster for 2. She goes to the top rope for the diving elbow drop. Tam pushes her off the top rope, and then Tam does a dive. So it's one thing to kick out of the diving elbow drop that you absolutely hate, but Tam stopped it from even happening. She stopped it from even happening on Sakurai's last match. Rob, come on, man. Walk the Tam road with me, buddy. This weekend. Let's go. Me and you.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I'm not walking the Tam road with you, man. I just can't bring it. There's too many speed bumps in that road, my friend. There's just too many potholes.
Yeah, I thought that was fun. The gauntlet, the Mirai gauntlet was very emotional, especially with her and Ami Sori. But I do have to say, Saki Cash was coming out crying, and I'm like, yeah, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. And then she rolled her up. They restart the match, and then she rolled her up again. So Mirai puts over Saki Kashima twice in it. But yeah, I thought it was really good. I liked that after the match was over, the 5 minutes with Shuri stands up and was like, just give me a lariat. And then he just lariats, the final Mirai Stardom lariat to her member of the leader of her faction, God's Eye. And then as they hugged, the referee counted to 3, even though it was after the time limit. Yeah, it was very, very emotional. I thought it was very well done.
Yeah, I did like the sort of difference between those two gauntlets in the fact that Mirai and Suri had that emotional hug at the very end, the ref counting 3 after the bell had gone. And then in the Yuzuki one, all of Stars piled onto her for the 3 count. So again, 2 very different ways of approaching a gauntlet, but equally effective, I thought. Yeah, again, Saki Kashima breaking up that emotion by just being inherently Saki is great. And again, she is one of those people that is very, very funny without trying overly hard to be funny. And I really do enjoy that about Saki. And because she's so different to everybody else in God's Eye, she does break it up, which I think is quite good. You've got Ami Sori, who's the powerhouse. You've got Suri and Rani Yagami, who are very, mixed martial arts based. And then you've got Saki, who is, for all intents and purposes, an absolute coward. Really enjoy it. Really enjoy that chemistry between the two. Giulia versus Suzu Suzuki. Now, it's Giulia and Suzu Suzuki, so you know it's a great match. Okay? It's a very, very, very good match. There is a lot of emotion. Obviously, Giulia and Suzu Suzuki have finally come to terms with the way Giulia left Ice Ribbon back in 2019. They've become friends again, and now Giulia is leaving again. So you can see that roller coaster of emotion. They seem to release that emotion by just hitting each other super, super hard, which is great. Makes for very, very, very entertaining match. What do you think I didn't like about this match, Matt?
PLD.
Why?
Yeah. Again, I don't understand, and again, and I know that a lot of people are like, "Oh, Julia's pulling the Hulk Hogan," where that doesn't work for me, brother. I'm like, I don't think so. Again, I don't know. I don't think so because she's still under contract to Bushi Road. She does what her bosses tell her. Hogan back then, if you remember, he had creative control over this. Anywho,
Also, I will just, on that point, that can't be the case. Otherwise, Giulia would not have faced Mayuki in any way. Like, it just wouldn't have happened. Never mind, them having to negotiate a finish. She just wouldn't have done it. Wrestling her friend, that's not going to be an issue. This has been booked by something wider than Giulia. That's nonsense.
Yeah, and this match was great. I'll tell you right now, it's 4.5 stars. But you figured, and we mentioned on the podcast last week that it's like Suzu's going to probably pin Utami, clean in the middle of the ring, and she did in what was easily my favorite match of these two shows. And then she's going to pin Giulia, sending Giulia on her way out. And then even if Giulia ever does come back, or it's somewhere where they meet again, you can say in Stardom we're 1-1-1. Their first match, the final night of the 5-star Grand Prix in 2022, they went to a time limit draw. And then at the anniversary show, the 12th anniversary show, Giulia pinned Suzu. And then you have Suzu beat Giulia here. And then now you're really, really making Suzu. But, and I wish I didn't have this spoiled for me. Again, I don't watch this show live because it was Easter Sunday. But I had someone send me a message that they went to a time limit draw and then they restarted and went to a time limit draw. And I was like, oh, I wish I didn't open up Twitter and it just forced a habit. And I saw that because I would have thought after 15 minutes when Giulia said, no, let's restart the match. I'm like, oh, this is going to cement her really putting over Suzu because she could have said, no, I'm good. I only get paid for 15 minutes. The match's a draw. I'm done. But considering the fact that she could have left and that was that. She's like, no, I'm going to give Suzu and the fans 5 more minutes again, which was great. But the fact that it went to another time limit draw again, it was great. Should have Suzu went over and clean in the middle? Absolutely. Giulia is on her way out. We're building Suzu up. We just had Suzu defeat Utami Hayashishita the night before.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, now Rob, I'm a huge fan of mixed martial arts. So when you go to if a fight goes 15 minutes or 25 minutes of a championship fight or whatever, you go to judge's decision because nobody won. Again, nobody wins here because it goes to a 20-minute time limit. I'm willing to bet anybody that knows anything about wrestling, if you were to go to a MMA-style judge's decision, this is a unanimous decision for Suzu Suzuki. Suzu Suzuki really got the better of Giulia. 65% of this match was Suzu Suzuki. So I'm going to put a positive spin on it like I always do, my friend. Should have Suzu gotten over? Yes. It went to 2 time limit draws, and it was a great match. Again, 4.5 stars, my second favorite match of these 2 shows. But if we're going to put a positive spin on the fact that Suzu should have went over, she really kicked the crap out of Giulia on her way out. She really, really did. And ultimately, again, I'm a huge Suzu Suzuki fan. I know you are. I know a lot of listeners are. This was a great weekend for Suzu. Again, pinning 2 of what we call the unofficial pillars, or pinning one of the pillars of Stardom, Utami, the night before to win the tag belts, and to really kind of kick the crap out of Giulia for 20 minutes here. Again, should she have gone over? Absolutely. But in my opinion, Suzu Suzuki is back in the main event scene, rightfully so, because that's a spot she definitely has earned. But yeah, I agree with you. Should have been a time limit draw. However, let's not, for obvious reasons, but let's not take away from what was an absolute fantastic match.
Yeah, fantastic match. And again, you put Giulia and Suzu Suzuki with all their baggage, emotional baggage in the ring. That's obviously going to be a fantastic match. But I feel like, even on the way out, Giulia hasn't eaten that many pinfalls, if any. I think she's probably eaten 1, maybe 2.
Steph
Vacker. And that was to lose the title. I feel like, okay, with Tam, fair enough. You're leaving that door open. I suppose you can say the same for the Suzu match, but on your way out, Giulia could easily have put Suzu Suzuki over here. It could have gone 19 minutes and 59 seconds. I don't care. However, put her over. Really give her that bump as you leave. You don't lose anything by that. Anyway, that's by the by. It's a fantastic match. Suzu Suzuki after this weekend feels fantastic, feels on fire again, which is excellent because, again, as I mentioned before, there was a worry, at least for me, that she gets a little bit lost in the shuffle at the moment. But as a champion, as someone who has pushed Giulia all the way to the time limit twice, I feel like she is right back at the very peak of her powers, which is really, really good. Matt, this main event then, before we move on to Io and Kairi Watch.
Main event. You want me to talk about the main event? Is that what you're saying, kind sir?
I would love you to talk about the main event, Matt.
I loved how again, me being a huge fan of Queen's Quest, I love how everybody had like their own little. They all came out to the Queen's Quest theme, but they all had like their individual coming out of the curtain. And I kind of like how it went like in pecking order. Then Utami to come out very last with the flag. You know, probably the last time we'll see her with the flag, or at least with all members of Queen's Quest. I did like how Hina, who's injured, she was there. They did make, and I know Utami was very big on social media saying Hina's going to be there. Hina's going to be there. They wanted to include her again, even though she's injured. I thought that was a really just a great coup from Queen's Quest to Utami and Stardom that they made Hina, even though she can't compete, that she was included in this final farewell of Utami. I liked how this match was layered because you start with Starlight Kid and Azumi, and you're like, okay, we know where this is going to go, and it's awesome. And then we go to Utami and Azumi just running over everybody with double team work. I thought that was great because Utami and Azumi as a tag team, even though they're not the main tag team in Queen's Quest, I think their teamwork is really good. And then Tora finally says, enough of this. We need to go back to formula. And Rob, we got to say it, buddy. A Uedo tie, what do they got to do?
They've always got a Uedo tie, Matt.
And then we get this crazy brawl. And I think Utami was like, this is my last match to try to put a Uedo tie over. So even though everybody's getting thrown into the chairs, I'm going to get thrown into the chairs and try to make it look as hurt as possible. Because like the way she was taking these bumps into these chairs was just like, all right, Utami, like not everybody is seeing you getting thrown into chairs because there's 10 other wrestlers brawling all over the place. But she was just like, and maybe it was like a bonus. Maybe Tora was like, hey, look, here's the deal. For every chair that you break, I'll give you $100 because she was really flinging herself into those chairs. Made Tora look really good. I liked how the focus was a lot on Utami in this match. Obviously, her stuff with Sai was great. I thought Miyu Amasaki's great. Lady C, I think she's going to be somebody in these next handful of months that is really going to step up, not only in her role of Queen's Quest, but a role as Stardom as well, because now she has that opportunity. I thought Rina and Miyu, they played off a lot of their stuff from the Future Stardom Championship about a month or so ago. I thought their stuff was really great. And then I liked how Momo Watanabe is like really kind of getting the better of everybody by doing a little bit of cheating. And then finally, after 2.5 years, we finally get a little bit of revenge on Momo as every member of Queen's Quest beats up Momo, and then they have her in the middle of the ring and they hit a 4-way dropkick on Momo. I thought that was great. And then it looks like Utami's going to put away Momo Watanabe. Tora comes in to mist Utami when Utami has Momo up for the hijack bomb. It's really weird because Tora does a great job with the mist. It just didn't seem like you didn't get the visual. We saw all the red stuff on Utami's face. It seemed like she had problems getting the mist out, which it happens from time to time. You'd rather that happen than a move where somebody gets hurt. So it's just like, it is what it is. But I liked how even though Utami's the one to take the L here, she takes the mist. She gets hit with the DVD, and then Ruaka hits the freezer bomb. Rina hits the double knee bomb. Starlight Kid hits the moonsault. Tora hits the swanton. So you have a cheating move, and then a whole bunch of moves. Then all the top rope moves from all the wrestlers. Then Momo has to use a bat to hit Utami, and then she hits the Peach Sunrise for the 3 count. I thought it was very well done. I thought everybody looked good here. I thought this was a great way for Utami to go out. I had this at 4.25 stars. And buddy, not to harp on Giulia. We love Giulia. We all really do. Utami, as far as on the way out, did the complete opposite of Giulia. And again, we don't know the booking.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know the booking. It's not us to speculate saying, well, this Utami wanted to put everybody over. Giulia didn't want to put anybody over. We don't know the booking. That's probably wasn't the case. And we're not going to speculate because, again, we are massive fans of Giulia on this podcast. And we're really looking forward to see what she does with Rossi's company. And then if the rumors are true by the end of the year, her coming over to the WWE. But you look at Utami. And the last month, she's put Maika over twice. Remember in that multi-person tag leading up to the championship match, she puts Maika over twice. She puts Suzu Suzuki over. She puts Momo Watanabe over. Not only does she, in my eyes, and maybe just because I have my Queen's Quest rose-colored glasses on, see what I did there? In my eyes, not only does she not lose anything, she's made herself look better by making other wrestlers look better. I understand Maika is the red belt champion. At the same time, for us that have been watching Stardom as long as we have, and again, cheap plug, Rob wrote another book on Stardom called Living the Dream, which covers the year 2021, where Utami was the champion that entire time. And they were making tons of money, drawing tickets. So even though Micah is the champion, we kind of look at it that Utami's the bigger star. And that from time, and I don't think I'd be wrong in that assessment. Utami puts her over twice. Then she puts Suzu over, and then she puts Momo over. No problem. She looks great doing it. We have doubts the fact that she may lose because she's so good when it gets to the last segments of the match that she's made Momo better. And the booking, we talked about the last 2 weeks, the booking of Momo Watanabe, of her beating Utami, Saya, Shuri, to lead her up to this match she's had with Micah, has been nothing short of brilliant. And we know Momo can go. The fact that she's put over all these wrestlers on her way out, again, to elevate the World of Stardom champion that is Micah, to elevate the new tag team champions that are Crazy Star, to elevate Momo Watanabe, who is going to be a big contender for that belt coming up soon. That just goes to show you how great Utami is taking the L. And to me, and again, no disrespect to Giulia, the cornerstone of Rossi's company, to me is Utami Hayashishita. And this goes to show that she can lose and still look better on the loss. And that, my friend, is the art of pro wrestling. And there's not many wrestlers in this country or another that do that better, that understand the art of pro wrestling than Utami Hayashishita. And I'm sad to see her go, but I'm excited to see what the future holds for her because she hasn't been a constant main eventer in Stardom since 2021. And that has nothing to do against her. It's just that Shuri was hot. Giulia was hot. We wanted to give Tam her run. Micah's hot, where she is going to be the main eventer of Rossi's company for as long as she wants to be. And what did she do in 2021 when she was Red Belt champion? She only had great matches. She only elevated the talent, and she only drew Bushi Road a ton of money. And that's what she's probably going to do for Rossi's company.
Yeah, you'd certainly assume so. And, speaking of people who've put over talent and been fine as they left, Io Shirai is another one. Io Shirai went out of her way to put over with Mai Sakurai and Momo Watanabe before she left. So, people have done it and been absolutely fine on their way out. And again, no disrespect to Giulia because, this won't have been her. You wouldn't have thought. But Utami has embodied that going out perfectly because even, doesn't matter that she took the pinfall here. It took like 400 finishes to finally finish her off. She was the one that took the pinfall in the tag match. Doesn't matter. It's a fantastic match. She doesn't look any weaker for having been pinned in these matches. But that's by the by. Matt, I've already mentioned her name. We know that Io Sky is going to be defending her women's championship on night 2 of WrestleMania. Before we get into a preview of this week's cards, it's time for a bit of Io and Kairi watch.
Yeah, real quick, and Saya Kamatani, her post-match in the ring and out of the ring really, really broke me up. You really know just how close Saya and Utami are, and it just makes Saya that more endearing of a baby face. But yeah, it's true. I knew it was going to be bad, and one Karen Peterson were having a chat about it because she didn't watch the shows just yet, and I told her brace yourself because it's sad, but hey, that's life. That's life. Okay, Io Kairi watch. Now, folks, as we're recording this on a Tuesday instead of our normal recording time on a Wednesday because we're dropping this early because Rob is on his way to Philadelphia. So I know that there was some damage control stuff last night on Monday Night Raw. I found that out early this morning, maybe about 2 hours before we hit the record button. So I did not get a chance to watch Monday Night Raw. So I just had the Io and Kairi watch from SmackDown. That means, Mr. Rob Goodwin and the fine listeners that love our Io and Kairi watch, if my math is correct, the next Io Kairi watch will be the Monday Night Raw before WrestleMania, the SmackDown before WrestleMania, WrestleMania Night 1, and WrestleMania Night 2. So even though you're only getting one Io and Kairi watch, you're going to get 4 times the Io and Kairi watch next week. So Io and Kairi watch, we get a pre-tape promo where Io basically says that Bayley only created damage control because Bayley was losing the main event scene, and she was using Dakota Kai and Io because she knew they were the hot young talent coming up, and she wanted to keep herself relevant by using Io and Dakota Kai, and that's one of the many reasons why they turned on her. And I thought it was really cool that after the promo was done, Io goes, "Are we done?" And then whoever the producer is, "Yeah, we're done." I'm like, that's really weird. Then all of a sudden you see Bailey come in. I don't know if you've seen this yet, partner. Bailey comes in and jumps Io and just starts beating her down, and then takes the lighting fixtures they use for the promos and starts throwing it on Io. And I was like, Bailey, take it easy. We got to keep Io somewhat healthy for this championship match. Like, doing a great job building up this match. They're doing a terrific job, considering the fact you look at the other championship match that the Raw Women's with Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch. There's some great promos. That even though Io is a really good promo in Japanese, she's not that good of a promo in English, so it doesn't translate as well over to the American audience. So there's a little bit of a handicap there. But they're doing a great job building this up. So I thought that was a really, really cool segment. We do have made mention that Bianca Belair is going to be taking on Dakota Kai. They have a match, and it's a really, really good match. Eventually, Bianca Belair does get the win with the KOD. As soon as the 3 count hits, Asuka and Kairi make the jump. They jump. They have a 3-on-1 advantage on Bianca Belair. Io cannot come out because Bailey was too busy throwing $1,000 lighting fixtures at her. So there's no Io in this, so it's basically a 3-on-1 beatdown. And then when Naomi comes in to make the save, her save only lasts a little bit, as eventually it's a 3-on-2 beatdown. And then the debuting on SmackDown, Jade Cargill comes in and basically beats up everybody. She hits the Jaded onto Kairi, and then we get the official announcement that on night 1 of WrestleMania weekend, WrestleMania Saturday, we have a 6-person tag of Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Jade Cargill taking on the Damage Control trio of Dakota Kai, Kairi, and Asuka. So even though we will not see a Kairi and Asuka championship defense on WrestleMania, that is still going to be a really, really good 6-person tag match. And the fact that myself and one Rob Goodwin will be able to see the Freedom wrestle live all in one weekend, I think that's truly special, my friend. And I'm really glad that you're going to be here for all of the Stardom goodness.
Absolutely cannot wait. So very briefly, let's whip through these cards. So obviously there are 2 shows that we're going to be focusing on. The first is the Stardom American Dream 2024 and the Keystone State card. The full card has been announced, and that is as follows. We have got 2 championship matches, but before that we have Mai Sakurai, Tam Nakano, and Momokogo taking on Mina Shirakawa, Mariah May, and Xia Brooks. Again, a little bit of a Club Venus reconvening, which I'm really, really happy about. Syuri and Konami versus Willow Nightingale and Saki. As Matt mentioned before, we are seeing Azumi and Stephanie Vaca against each other. Azumi Sayakamatani and Cameron Brane. That'll do. Versus Stephanie Vaca, Momo Watanabe, and Starlight Kid. In the first of our title matches, Mei Seira will defend the High Speed Championship against Ram Kai Chao and Saki Kashima. And then in your main event, Micah versus Megan Bain for the World of Stardom Championship. So, Matt, I think both of us are in agreement that we are going to see 2 title retentions here. Azumi probably going over in that 6-woman tag, maybe, to set up that challenge. And oh my God, I am so excited for Syuri and Konami versus Willow Nightingale and Saki.
Yeah, shout out to a super fan of the show, Ethan Black, who told me that Cameron Barane used to be Amari Miller in NXT, and then I said, "Is she any good?" And she goes, "Yes, she's very good." He said that her style will fit in very well with that match. So I know she's kind of the X factor in that match because we're really not sure, because I've never really heard of her or seen her. And maybe I've seen her in NXT just kind of through passing. So yeah, a lot of the show looks really, really good. It's kind of a short show, which I'm going to kind of get to a point in a second. I'm really looking forward to. We're going to get Saya and Azumi on the same team in a match opposite Momo Watanabe, Starlight Kid, and Steph Facker. So that could absolutely steal the entire show. The fact that we have Team Rob Goodwin and Team Matt Turner on the same team, by that I mean Mayu Iwatani and Tam Nakano on the same team joining forces. That's going to be against the basically reunion of our Club Venus. That's going to be something as well. And then, the match, the fact that we're going to see Sherry and Willow Nightingale tear each other up, I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah, and considering the fact, and the reason why, and this show starts at 3:00. And the reason why we set our podcast, our live podcast at 7 is we figured the show would go close to 3 hours. So that takes us to 6, gives everybody a little time to do what you need to do to get to the venue. I don't think this is going to be a 3-hour show. It's kind of a smaller card. Again, it's going to be great. They just announced maybe about 20 minutes before we went on air that all the standing room only extra tickets are sold out. So this is a complete sellout, overfilled sellout, because they sold all the chairs and the limited standing room only, about a month or so ago, and they're going to pack as many people in there as possible. My guess is, the way I'm looking at the layout partner, there's probably going to be over 1,000 people there at this show. So point I'm trying to get at is there's a good chance that we were going to be at Jack's Tap Room and Grill well before the 7 o'clock time. They did ask us to try to get there around 6:30, just if there's any loose ends that we need to fix up. We're probably going to be there. My guess is going to be 5:30, quarter to 6. And I know there's a lot of listeners that say that they want to go to the live Stardom Cast show, but they're going to DDT at 7 or 8, or they're going to the Undertaker show at what's either 7 or 8, or they're going to the Major Brothers podcast, which is at 8 o'clock. And hey, folks, we completely understand that. We love the support that you show us. However, I've had a lot of people asking me, where's the best place to get Rob's book signed or to meet you guys? Obviously, if you see us at any of the 84,000 events we're going to be at, please come say hello, take a picture. Rob will absolutely sign his book, sign the book free of charge, no problem. But if you can't be there because you have somewhere else you have to be at 6 or 7 o'clock, stop on into the venue at 5:30, quarter to 6. We'll be there. Say hello. We'll take pictures. We'll sign your stuff. I know there's a lot of you asking that you can't make the show. How do I go about getting the beer? If you do show up beforehand, an hour and a half beforehand, I think the beer is already there. The beer is already there. Norm texted me yesterday. The beer is already there. So you can get there beforehand and get yourself a 6-pack or a case of the beer. Again, there's only 10 cases, and I know like 4 or 5 have already been pre-sold. So if you want to get there before the Stardom show, or if you want to get there in the hour and a half in between the Stardom show and the live podcast, we'll be there. Get yourself a beer. And hold on, I do have a note from Norm, which I did do an interview with just the other day, just talking about our wrestling fandom and what to expect at the live Stardom Cast podcast. Norm sent me a text message yesterday. Please let all listeners know the place also goes by Penn Sport Beer Boutique, and that's what the sign says on the building. So it does say also Penn Sport Beer and Jack's Tap Room. So it's the same venue. So that's where we'll be at for the live Stardom Cast show, my friend.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen, all the information you could possibly need. And I want to quickly whip through the Spark Joshi card before we sign off, because believe it or not, I'm still not ready to actually leave the country tomorrow, so I could do with getting a shufti on. We have got a 3-way Kyoko Inoue, Azumi, and Danny Mo. We then have Saki defending her Spark Joshi Atlantic Championship against the challenger vet Vixen. Starlight Kid will be in action in a special singles match. Masha Slamovich and Rina Yamashita will be taking on Hyan and Brittany Blake. Ramka Chow will be defending her Pacific Championship against a mystery opponent. This one blew my mind. Mina Shirakawa and Janai Kai against Tam Nakano and Aja Kong. The tag team we never knew we needed. Tam Nakano and Aja Kong. And then, as we talked about last week, Mayu Iwatani will team with her winner of the Spoke Joshi Wrestling Tryouts. And Konami will team with hers. And they will face off in a tag match as well. The show is at the Monster Factory just outside Philly. April 7th. That's the Sunday. Doors are at 1. Bell at 2 p.m. So make sure you are there. We will be there. And just quickly, a rundown of where we're going to be. We'll be at the Stardom show. We'll then be at Jack's Tap Room, as Matt has just mentioned for our live podcast. We'll then be at the GCW show where Suri is facing me. Miyu Hamasaki. No, she's not. Masha Slamovich. It's been a long day. We will then be at Ring of Honor. We will be at NXT. We will be at WrestleMania both nights. And we will also be at Spark as well. So if you are at any of those shows, please come and say
WrestleCon as well. We will be in line. Yes, we were doing the complete meet and greet of the Stardom wrestlers. So that's where we'll be. And then I know Rob wants to chase down Kevin Nash. I want to meet one Cowboy Bob Orton, as well as Mariah May and Zaya Brookside. So that is hopefully we can get all that in, my man. and throw in a few hours of sleep. But yeah, we were at a lot of places. Brother, I'm super excited. I am super excited.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this preview podcast. We hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for tuning in. We can't wait to meet as many of you as is humanly possible over the next couple of days. If you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, please do. You can find us wherever you get your podcast. Leave us a review and a comment, 5 stars, if you think we have deserved it. You can find us on Patreon, patreon.com/the Stardom Cast, where you can join for as little as $1 to get all of these episodes early and ad-free. You can check out the website, www.thestardomcast.com, for a full archive of all episodes, as well as all of the information you need to get into Stardom if you are a newer fan. You can find us on social media at The Stardom Cast. You can talk to me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Matt Turner, sounds off, good sir.
Yes, real quick, I just want to add on with that Spark Joshi show. If you cannot make it, it is going to be on the app formerly known as Fight TV. I believe it's now called Triller. I think it's $19.99. So if you can't be at that show for logistic purposes, you can definitely get it and watch it live. It is going to be streaming live on that app, and Triller/Fight is a fantastic app. Folks, yeah, that's going to wrap it up, my friend. And I hope everybody enjoy the show. Questions, comments, you need to get a hold of me. I will be all over Philadelphia. But if you want to do a meetup or any questions, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and or the Twitter is the best way to get a hold of me. You want to shoot me an email, perfectly fine as well. The StardomCast22@gmail.com is the best way to get a hold of me via email. I just want to quickly shout out Steve on our Patreon, who emails me quite a bit. Last week, Rob, we did make mention about Mai Sakurai and the taco hat, or the nacho hat. He did say it is he gave me the recipe for it. So Steve is aces. He's like, this is possible. I was like, oh my goodness, I have to forward that over to my wife. But anywho, another question for another day. So that does it. That'll do it for this episode. We greatly appreciate your support. Can't do this without you. Stay tuned, folks, for the next episode, as we're going to be giving our full review of all the shenanigans that we were up to in Philadelphia, and I'm super excited to look forward to it. Hope to meet you all there, because like I always say, it's just not my podcast, it's our podcast, because we're all together and everybody's different, everybody's special.